Fun fact that is also mind-boggling. Because of our environment, food manufacturing, farming practices, our jobs, right? The human body, will be forced to filter and detoxify an average of 80,000 chemicals. And a lot of times, right, the things that we're experiencing, the digestive challenges, kidney issues, gallbladder, immune function, right? A lot of these things are impaired because of these toxins. So interesting. There are about 2,000 new chemicals introduced into commerce annually in the United States. That is a rate of 7 new chemicals per day. Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck, of course, always here with you every week. And joining me today is Caroline. Caroline, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I think the last time you were here was before Thanksgiving. Is that right?
Yeah, we talked about the
Gathering.
Yep.
Yeah, the book,
Mhm.
The Art of Gathering. So by the way, for newer listeners, Caroline and I first met working out, and now I think the rest is history, as they say.
Oh, yes. Now we work
Full
out, we
disclosure.
drink wine.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
of
I was
it.
going to say we worked out together this morning. We're both sore, so bear with us. It's
It
a good
hurts
thing
to
this
laugh.
doesn't require movement. I know. Oh my God, don't make me laugh. Okay.
Thanks, Chad.
Yeah. Hashtag thanks, Chad. So today's conversation, honestly, it's been a long time coming because January 2020, we talked about doing a detox, like a 7-day fruit and vegetable detox. And literally from then, it has been on my list to come back for this half of the conversation. And essentially, we also did an episode where we talked about like the toxic burden, and how we're getting toxins from all these places that we don't necessarily realize. So we'll touch a little bit on that today, but more so we're going to focus on our body's natural detoxification pathways, because our bodies are detoxing every day all the time. And that happens not just when we're doing some focused food plan for a short period of time, right? And by the way, if you've ever heard people influencers on Instagram being you don't need to do a detox, your body detoxes, this is what they're talking about. And they are correct. And we are also often served by putting a little extra effort into supporting our body's function. So sometimes I think when they say that, they're thinking of the fasting things or the juicing things, which we don't necessarily recommend. So you can go back to that episode from January of 2020 to talk about a detox plan that we would recommend. I'm getting carried away. Let's tell our members.
I love it.
Right. I'm so glad you appreciate it. So let's tell our members what they're getting this week, and then we'll really get into it. All right. Members. Oh my God, you guys are getting so much stuff this week. Okay. First, your recipe is for frozen yogurt bark with berries. I saw that face.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So it's the perfect snack or dessert, especially as, we're heading towards spring and temperatures get warmer. I think the official first day of spring is is it March 20th? Something like that. And then you can also use this. I've had a lot of people calling me, potential client, intake calls. And there's been a lot about late night eating and cravings. And so this is an awesome food swap when you're looking for that almost ice cream sensation or sweet thing. And then you can also use this as a base recipe and then change it up. Maybe add some nut butter, whatever berries you have in your fridge. You could add some chocolate, whatever. I love this one. So that's your recipe. Then you're getting a recording of a webinar that I did also in 2020 that goes a bit more into today's detoxification topics. So you guys get to dig a little deeper at no charge, of course. So you guys get that recorded webinar. And it's March, which means as the last month of the quarter, it is time for your live Q&A session. So I'm doing this as a one-on-one So your link to schedule a time that's convenient for you will be in your inbox on Friday, along with everything else. So many things. If you want the recipe, free access to this webinar, or you want to hop on the phone, just you and me, I can't wait to chat with you, by the way. So please be sure you remember, you're going to go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. For $10 a month, you get weekly recipes, a monthly article or tool, extra discounts from me and our partners, plus access to live Q&A sessions. It's a total deal. This month alone with the live Q&A, you're going to save far more than that $10 monthly cost. Like this month is going to pay for your year. So I say it all the time, a no-brainer way to show yourself that your health is a priority. Plus, this membership supports this podcast and this community so that we can continue to do this because we are approaching episode 200. So support us, join us. I love nothing more. Remember, you're going to go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries or click the link in the show notes because that's easier than remembering the URL. Once you're there, you click support now, enter your email and payment method, click subscribe, and you're all set. You'll get this week's recipe for the frozen yogurt bark with berries, free access to the Detox webinar, and your quarterly live session, which will be a one-on-one, just you and me.
That sounds amazing.
I know, so many things.
Oh,
All right, so back to detox. So I feel like I say this all the time, but I think the difference between knowing what to do and actually doing it is understanding why, right?
yeah.
So how many people do you know say they wake up and still feel tired?
Oh, yeah. I would say that's like really frequently now.
Yeah. Or like gut disruption, whether constipation, diarrhea, gas, bloating, reflux.
All the above, maybe.
Yeah. So here's what I want you to think about, right? This whole topic is for people who want more energy, want to age well, are looking for a healthful weight, are looking for a healthy digestion, want to wake up feeling refreshed, glowing skin, a healthy immune system, balancing hormones, like eliminating excess estrogen and also like the cortisol DHEA ratio, like balancing stress hormones. All of those things happen and can happen when our body's detox pathways are functioning properly.
And I feel like all of those, I would check the box for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, me too. And like, okay, so I think the best way, I was about to go into all the things I do that mess it up, but I think, because look, we're human. I'm just saying, me too.
Yeah. I probably did it last night. So, yeah.
Right, exactly. But I think our best way to tackle this is to go through sort of like the body part, like the biology side, and then we can get more into like the lifestyle things we do that impact it, like pros and cons, like the things that we do that help it and the things we do that insult it.
Okay. I like that.
Okay. All right. So interestingly, a lot of our body is actually involved in detoxification. The major organ, though, is the liver, and then the gallbladder and kidneys and our lymph system are also part of that too. Our digestive system is part of it. Our skin and our lungs are part of it. So, like I said, the primary organ of detoxification is the liver. And a lot of times we'll talk about the liver, but I think it's really important to recognize that like the liver is the driver, but if our digestive tract and the gallbladder and the kidneys and the lymph system, right, aren't also helping, we're going to be impaired.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like a car. And like, even though there are other parts that like, you know, they are not nearly as important as the engine, but if they're a little funky, you're going to have trouble driving.
Great analogy. Thank you for that. Amazing.
Thank you. Just came with it on the fly.
Yeah, I like it. Okay. So think about detox as sort of like 3 phases. Okay. So phase 1 is what we call sort of like the reaction. So in the liver, phase 1 detoxification is your body reacting to toxins using enzymes that act to turn the toxins into free radicals. So essentially, the body is converting toxins into something water soluble, which allows us to then move forward to excrete them. The challenge is this also makes them easier to reabsorb. So we have to make sure that phase 2 is working also, which I'll get to in a second, right? But essentially phase 1 is like identify the toxin and try to convert it into something that we can eliminate.
Okay.
And that requires enzymes. It's P450 enzymes for all the nerds out there like me. Okay. Then phase 2 is neutralizing it, right? We want to optimize the neutralization, which is phase 2. So the compounds attach to other water-soluble substances. This binding increases their excretion through urine or bile, right? Bile is going to end up in stool. Urine, we're going to pee out. Other ways, well, we'll get to this in a second. Other ways that toxins could get out, like sometimes through sweat, if they're already, more water soluble, through your skin, right? Like itchy skin, you may have something going on. Or you might just be detoxing. And so it's like, there's a reaction there. And so your skin's itchy. But for the most part, we're going to eliminate them. So this binding thing that happens in phase 2 is called conjugation. This process requires coenzymes or cofactors in order to make it happen. So if we don't have these other things present, it's not going to happen. So we'll talk about what some of those other things are, but like phase 1 requires a lot of, everything requires minerals. Phase 1 is a lot of enzymes and B vitamins and things like that. Phase 2 is a lot of amino acids and antioxidants. Antioxidants are what's then going to calm the free radicals that are created in phase 1.
Got it. I'm immediately now starting to think about, like, if like one of them's not there, like amino acids, then like phase 2 doesn't happen. And then I've been starting to think about like the foods. Like if we don't have certain foods present with certain nutrients, like antioxidants, we're going to struggle with phase 2. I might be jumping ahead, but
my
you're
wheels
exactly
are turning. Right. Yeah, I love it. Okay, which brings us to phase 3. Phase 3 is elimination of the toxins. So this is important. Healthy muscles, lymphatic system, digestion, right? In this process too, like fiber comes into play. So dietary fiber binds to these compounds to then be excreted from the body. So it goes back to even when we did that episode, like America's fiber problem. We're not getting enough fiber. We're not eliminating enough. All that stuff is building up. By the way, if you are constipated and all of that, all the toxins that are supposed to be exiting aren't, and they're backing up and sitting there, your body's going to reabsorb those toxins, and then you have to process them again, starting on phase 1.
That sounds exhausting for the body.
Right? Yeah. It's okay. So this is why I'm like, the body is an absolute miracle, right? Like the more I learn, the more in awe I am that we are alive. Like, just real talk, okay? So what plays a factor in this? So you talked about it a lot, right? Like our nutrition. Are we getting these things? Are we going to have all the stuff that we need? Technical term there. All the stuff we need, right? Our environment, stress, drugs, not just recreational drugs, but like medications. All of these things are going to impact that detoxification enzyme activity. What's also interesting is that the liver helps govern metabolism, our stress response, immune function, the microbiome, our nervous system, and our reproductive systems.
Do you know what I immediately think about?
What?
The amount of alcohol that I probably just drank last night. And I was like, ooh, I did not help myself there.
Yeah. We're going to live our lives and our body can handle, like the liver can do a lot. It's just how much we're insulting it at the same time, right? And how often. Because it's also interesting, by the way, on the hormone front, like a lot of people, especially as we age, especially women, right, can have excess estrogen. The liver's job is to bind and inactivate hormones to excrete them. And they end up in the bile. So honestly, like detoxification and the liver's role is basically as important as sleep and exercise.
I mean, it sounds like it, or else like
Yeah.
everything else gets messed up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's often so overlooked, which again is why we're talking about it. And because I think there's so much of like I said before in the beginning, of people being like, you don't need to focus on detox. Like, well, but we can't ignore it, you know?
I mean, it's like something that has to happen probably on like a daily basis.
Right. And
So,
luckily, the body's doing this all the time, right? Like, luckily, all of this stuff, we don't really have to think about. It's doing it automatically. What we're going to want to think about is how to support it so that it has what it needs to do it.
yeah,
Right.
because then you'll in turn feel better.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, a couple of things I want to make sure I don't miss, right? So, we talked about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, connecting all this stuff to the bigger picture and all of our body systems and our hormones. So when it comes to excreting toxins, right, we have urine, bile and stool, sweat, our skin and our lymph system. And part of it also, we talked about the gut. So the gut is almost like the first responder in detoxification. So if our digestive tract isn't healthy, and specifically also like the integrity of the intestinal barrier. So when that lining of the intestines, when we lose that barrier, that's where we get into autoimmune. And so things are getting directly into our bloodstream instead of going through the proper process. So things we don't want in our bloodstream are getting there, which creates an immune response and throws, and so that's where we can get into autoimmune, where our immune system is attacking itself. So the barrier can prevent unwanted proteins, bacteria, and toxins from reaching the liver and reducing its burden from the get-go, if all of that is intact.
Wow.
Regular bowel movements are important, not just, right, for effective detoxification, right, to eliminate those things, but also important for a balanced microbiome. So like everything are these like symbiotic relationships. I just went back to like 7th grade science in my head. Did you?
I mean, yes, in a way that like, why are we talking so much about the lungs and the heart, and why aren't we talking about all of this
Right.
stuff? Do you know what I mean?
Right. And not for nothing, this is all connected to that. I was actually having a call with a client the other day where we were looking at some of their lipid panels, right, for cardiovascular health. And I was like, I think we should look at the liver, right? Because we don't connect it, but everything in the body is connected.
Yeah, and I feel like the one thing that like probably everyone can say about the liver is that it helps us like after we've drank alcohol.
Right.
But like that's literally like 1% of what it does.
Correct. So the liver also produces a significant amount of lymph, right? So we often think of our lymphatic system as part of our circulatory system, which it is, but there are also lymph vessels within the liver. And so we think of it as like accessory detox organs, right? The gallbladder, kidneys, digestive tract, skin, lungs, right? All of these need to be supported for adequate elimination of toxins. So we have the lymph system. Our body's ability to support immune function relies on the lymphatic system. So its vessels and nodes collect or detoxify, right? And drain lymphatic fluid from the body, right? Lymphatic vessels in the liver and other organs of detox function to retain fluid and regulate the immune system. Again, it's like this weirdly interconnected, right?
Yeah, like it's like connects in so many ways. Like you can't leave one part out or else like everything else gets messed up.
Right. And then going further to your same point, if we're going to urinate to excrete toxins, it brings us to the kidney. So if our kidney isn't functioning properly or we're not getting enough water, right, we're not going to eliminate those water-soluble toxins. So proper hydration contributes to detoxification, right? And it does so in a variety of places. But for the most part, right, once metabolized, toxins are going to travel out of the body through urine and stool. So we need those kidneys too, right? Sidebar, and we'll come back to this, but like greens, herbs, teas, like all the things that also can promote kidney detox support this as well.
Thank goodness.
Right. So another piece, and I mentioned this in the beginning, that one of the benefits of proper detoxification is sort of aging well, right? And we're like, how does this all come together? And then in all of the anti-aging things, we hear about mitochondria, right? Like the battery of the cell, the energy, the powerhouse of the cell. So this is where things come together. So I sort of think about it more like macro and micro detox. So like macro detox is like those organs. Micro detox is like what's happening in every single cell. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So the mitochondria are cells' powerhouse, the batteries of the cell. The mitochondria produce cellular energy in the form of ATP. Okay. Cellular energy pushes every metabolic step within the human body. It is absolutely unavoidable in aging that we have a decline in cellular energy. The loss of cellular energy is the gateway to chronic disease. I'm going to pull this together. A decline in mitochondrial quality and activity is associated with aging and correlates with essentially all age-related health concerns. So the mitochondria tolerate a lot of stress and impulse from multiple sources via the metabolism. Once this happens, mitochondria fail to produce sufficient energy or sufficient ATP for us to produce basic cellular requirements. Then we have fatigue, weight gain, mental, emotional, and hormonal complaints. So our mitochondria need to burn fuel cleanly and efficiently in order to assure that they have the integrity and their own longevity. CoQ10, or specifically ubiquinol, form of CoQ10, is an essential coenzyme that acts as like a fuel additive to optimize mitochondrial performance, extracting the most energy with the least damage. Because essentially, our regular body functions, a cell doing what it's supposed to do, also creates toxins. So those have to be detoxified. So mitochondria are what one of my mentors calls exquisitely sensitive to toxins.
I just like want to know what now I can do to support my mitochondria.
I know, and so does Eli. Did you guys hear Eli? He is in it. I'm going to get there in 2 seconds. Well, maybe a little more than 2 seconds. But basically, so external and internal toxins, pollution, sugar, alcohol, compromise the function of mitochondria. Supporting our mitochondrial health is not just about the nutrients that mitochondria needs, but also the chemicals in our body that the body doesn't need, the chemicals in our food that our body doesn't need. Cleaning up our nutrition, right, allows us to sort of remove this obstacle to health of every cell and aging and all the things. So to your point of supporting the mitochondria, supporting our immune system, supporting our microbiome, major driver of detoxification are antioxidants.
Okay. And it supports phase 2.
Yes, exactly. So glutathione is like the body's master antioxidant. Glutathione needs selenium in order to be produced by the liver. Vitamin C is recycled by glutathione. Vitamin C recycles vitamin E. Anthocyanidins are other types of antioxidants, recycle glutathione. So there's, again, this whole like process and spiral of all of these things, even as far as the function of the antioxidants.
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction.
Exactly. And so it's like all these pieces, it's got to work together, which is why sometimes hyper focusing on a single food in either direction, right? Whether like going all in and eating a ton of one thing isn't necessarily the greatest thing for us either, because we need all of these things. We need the variety. Our body needs all these things. And we'll also go through in a couple minutes a bunch of the minerals and stuff that are also going to help, which is a lot of phase 1. All right. Key takeaway. We have the organs involved in detoxification and cells that also require detoxification. Essentially, detoxification is energy and it is all nutrient dependent.
And you can get it all from your food.
Theoretically.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it then goes to, well, what's the quality of our food and what else are we doing? Like, how much are we adding? Do we need to support extra because we're not keeping those things balanced in a way that support the body?
And you know what that reminds me of with the episode when we talked about how, like, depending on like where you get your fruits and vegetables from, it could be cut off of the vine like very
Yes.
almost like too early, and you're missing like the key nutrients and vitamins. Like, let's just say like a red pepper, for example, if it's cut off the vine too early, you're not like reaping all of the
Yeah.
benefits of the vitamins because it like came from Washington. And
Right. Like that red pepper, whatever it is, doesn't have the same nutrition in it, doesn't have the same vitamins and minerals and nutrients because that only comes from the soil. And so if it's no longer connected to the soil through the vine.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the part that I feel like is comforting to me is that this is an innate natural ability of the body that, thank goodness, we don't have to think about. And the part that we can impact, right, is sort of understanding the balance of our like very unnatural world with the things that we're doing to sort of combat that and support the body's proper function.
Yeah. And I think it's like nice, like knowing that like you are like, it's important to have that balance. Like it takes a lot of
Yeah.
pressure off because you can, there needs to be that balance. It's not just, you're not fixated on just one thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, we're not doomed, right? There's a lot that we can do. And so that part I think is also comforting, at least for me.
Yeah. I mean, like there's a lot in our control.
Exactly.
We love
All right. So we're
control.
going to talk about all that stuff after a message from our partner for this episode. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Okay. Big thank you to Snap Cleaning Products for supporting this episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Make household and industrial cleaning a snap with their eco-friendly, economical, multi-purpose Snap products. Snap's concentrated multi-purpose formulas perform light to industrial strength jobs all in one bottle. Snap's products give you the cleaning power of a variety of cleaners, saving you time, money, and valuable storage space. And Snap products were developed with the environment in mind, using plant-based ingredients that are biodegradable, phosphate-free, non-toxic, and bottled in recyclable containers. So as we talk about all these toxins today, right, and the body's detoxifying pathways, one of the places that a lot of people are overwhelming their systems with toxins is with household cleaning products. And it's why I love Snap, actually, because there are a lot of brands out there that, you know, tout themselves as being non-toxic or free and clear, but they aren't really. Snap is, and they make it super easy to upgrade like all your cleaning products in one fell swoop with the Snap Pack. So in the Snap Pack, you get the triple enzyme laundry detergent, the dishwashing liquid, the fabric softener, the heavy duty concentrate, the all-purpose natural concentrate, the scouring deep cleanser, the disinfectant cleanser, and the accessory pack. So it makes everything easier to use. All of that, by the way, for just $78.50. Plus, you get 10% off and free shipping for being a Salad with a Side of Fries listener. So simply text the word CLEAN, CLEAN, to 844-947-4846. You'll receive the link and coupon code right to your phone. Again, simply text the word CLEAN to 844-947-4846 to try Snap. I highly recommend the Snap Pack to clean up your whole house at 10% off plus free shipping. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply. Okay. At the risk of overwhelming us, which I hope we're not going to do, I do want to talk about sort of where we're getting all these toxic chemicals.
Okay.
So I suppose we should say like toxins are basically any harmful substance that can build up in the body over time. We get them from the air we breathe, the food we eat, stress, right? Like we are stressed every day. Exercise, like even the things that we know are great for us, also create, you know, toxic byproduct in the body. Our metabolism, like doing what our body is supposed to do, like a lot of our body's natural processes also create a byproduct that needs to be detoxified. So the whole thing is like, we learned the body is designed to do this process to get these toxins out. But our world, like our modern world, has an overabundance of these toxins building up in our bodies because we have sort of way more coming in than our natural systems can tolerate.
I can see that.
Okay. Fun fact that is also mind-boggling. Because of our environment, food manufacturing, farming practices, our jobs, right? The human body, will be forced to filter and detoxify an average of how many chemicals do you think?
My initial,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like rolling high right now.
Yeah.
Like, is 100? Is that even?
80,000 chemicals.
Oh, I was like, not even. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And a lot of times, right, the things that we're experiencing, the digestive challenges, kidney issues, gallbladder, immune function, right? A lot of these things are impaired because of these toxins. So interesting. There are about 2,000 new chemicals introduced into commerce annually in the United States.
Wow.
That is a rate of 7 new chemicals per day.
That is wild.
Okay, what's even more alarming, if you will, when they do the studies to evaluate the safety of these chemicals, they're tested individually, right? They test exposure to a single chemical. But our lives are not such that our exposure is to a single thing at a time.
Yeah, I was just about to
Right?
say, like, we are exposed to many things at different
Right.
points during the day all the time.
Exactly. It's this cocktail of toxins. And so that's not looked at in these studies. And so it stands to reason that there's going to be a buildup because that is far and away like all these what we call like new to nature molecules, right? That like did not exist when the human body figured out how to function, whenever that was, however you believe that happened, you know?
Right.
So essentially, going back to think about all the organs that are involved and everything that's sort of insulting all those organs, and we'll get more specific in a few minutes, we can end up sort of overwhelmed by, toxins building up in the body. So how might we know if toxins are affecting our health, right? We talked about it before, but like diminished immune function,
Fatigue.
trouble sleeping. Yes, fatigue, trouble sleeping, that lack of energy, like you said with the fatigue, loss of appetite.
What about like brain fog?
100%. Loss of concentration, brain fog, like that mental fatigue, headaches, dizziness, body aches, shortness of breath. You talked about the lungs before, heart palpitations, and mood challenges. So whether that's mood swings, stress, anxiety, depression, all of these pieces can happen when we have an overabundance of toxins in our system. And then you can imagine the sort of snowball effect of we feel a certain way, which creates cravings for certain foods, which are certainly not the foods that support detoxification. They're actually creating cravings for the foods that our body is going to identify as a toxin, right? It's no wonder we're in a spiral in the direction we don't want.
Yeah, and even like something like had you had said like mood changes and mood swings, like if someone is having challenges balancing out their mood, like I think it's more common to turn to something else to help,
Yeah.
losing my words, you know what I mean? Like maybe medication or even maybe like a
Totally.
substance that then actually is not beneficial. It's just kind of like
Yeah.
Band-Aids instead of like addressing like what's going on in the environment.
Exactly. So things that are insulting our liver are all of those toxins that are around us. The alcohol you talked about before. Also, by the way, before we started recording, I was talking about the margarita that was the size of my head that was put in front of me today.
With the Corona.
Yeah, with a Corona in it, because that's what it needed. Exposure to pollutants, right? Like we think about the air, carrying excess weight, pharmaceuticals, right? Too much processed food, too much of those new to nature molecules, chronic stress, all of these things are creating that insult to the liver. And then we're not getting enough of the veggies, the fruits, the clean water, the clean air, regular exercise, deep breathing, right? That are going to support proper function. So it comes down to that balance. right? So when we think of supporting detox, I keep saying it, minerals. Well, and I suppose we also want to think about amino acids and antioxidants, right? Pre and probiotics, because we're talking digestive function too, right? All these things, everything we're doing in one place is supporting the other also. But so when we think of vitamins and minerals, I mentioned CoQ10, right? Silymarin, pycnogenol, manganese, zinc, copper, selenium, vitamin E, vitamin C, vitamin A. We want all of these elements in place to support all of that natural function of phase 1 and phase 2. Depending on what we eat, we're either creating all of that, right? Supporting the liver, giving it everything it needs, or compounding the problem by giving it the things it doesn't need. So,
yeah,
I know it's a little depressing. I'm trying to, how can we make this not depressing? Think about lots of greens, right? Different types of dark leafy greens, spirulina, chlorella, right? They have some of the most incredible nutrient density. They also offer us the building blocks for healthy metabolism. So again, we can support all these things like spinach, cabbage, broccoli. These foods specifically give us some of the enzymes that are super helpful in clearing external toxins. Gut health, right? We know fiber, in particular, soluble fiber, antioxidants, short-chain fatty acids, prebiotic, probiotic, maybe digestive enzymes if we're getting some of that issue in the upper GI, and eliminating. I kind of keep coming back to it, but like poop, right? We did 2 episodes. We have the Down and Dirty Part 1 and the Down and Dirty Part 2. So lots more on poop. And like I said before, if we're not eliminating, those toxins can be reabsorbed into the body and we sort of start that whole process all over again.
Yeah.
Sleep. The liver works hardest when we sleep. We did an episode called Sleep on It, right? When you hear the words like sleep hygiene, it's things like our blue light, a cool room, a dark room, what time we go to bed, going to bed and waking up at similar hours every day, right? Creating sort of some of these patterns that are conducive to quality and quantity sleep.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things I've been noticing the most with boundary setting is in regards to sleep, versus like getting 4 hours of sleep. I'm noticing more that more people are prioritizing getting that full night's sleep and doing the things they need to do to sleep well.
Yeah, I was invited we went to a comedy show the other night. It was supposed to start at 10. I was like, that's okay. Like I can still be home around like midnight. It ended up not starting till 11. I didn't get home till like 1:30. But another friend that I invited to join our group that was going, she was like, it starts at 10. No, that is too late for me. And I was like, oh, the challenge of balancing like fun and sleep.
Oh, yeah. It's a challenge, especially in New York.
I know. We're human.
Yep.
Lemon water in the morning can be great. It especially supports your gallbladder. The gallbladder specifically is also focused on fat as one of our like peripheral organs of detoxification. And so the lemon water in the morning can help us also flush out a lot of the toxins that were processed overnight, right? It pushes them through the kidneys to the urine to get out of the body. So maybe you're going to add some lemon water.
I used to try to do it in the morning, but actually knowing the science behind it actually remotivates me to want to do it. Because you can see it all over Instagram, people doing it. But I think it's like super helpful to know like the science behind it. I think that's like motivation in itself.
Yeah, that's why I always say like the difference between knowing what to do and actually doing it is understanding why, right? If I know what it's like, why it's helping or what it's actually doing in the body, which by the way, as I'm sitting here, so I was thinking about my old hangover cure, which was B vitamins, antioxidants, water, and a workout, which are exactly, right? It's the vitamins and minerals, the antioxidants to support our body actually flushing that stuff out. Water, right? We have a lot of that dehydration, also helping flush this stuff out. The activity, the movement, the deep breathing, plus the sweat. So PS on the alcohol front, like only about like 10-ish% of the alcohol is going to be sweat out. The rest of it has to go through the liver.
It's good to know.
So for all those people that I worked out next to on a Saturday or Sunday morning over the years when I would apologize that I'd be sweating alcohol, I'm sorry again. It hurts to laugh. My abs. Okay.
So no, we're laughing.
I know. So on the activity front, the movement, right? It's part of it's excreting toxins with the perspiration. Part of it is it prompts us to breathe more deeply, right? With that movement. And even sometimes like if we're doing twisting things, right? That twisting is also sort of like a manual wringing of the organs and helping sort of push some toxins through. Jumping up and down, we think a lymphatic system, right? So there's a lot that we can do. All right. I feel like we talked about a lot.
But like, I don't feel like you could have left any part out.
Well, thanks. I mean, the whole thing, right? Wrap it up. Like, it's not about like, I don't think the objective after ending this is to go run to the heavens and sort of throw everything out of your house and try to clean up every toxin that you might ever, walk around with an oxygen mask so that like you're not breathing the air around us, right?
Right.
I think it's about understanding how much are we doing that insults the liver? How much are we doing that gives it and our whole body, right? All the building blocks that it needs to properly detoxify. So then going back to this thing of what we hear people say of like, well, your body's detoxing all the time. You don't need to do a special thing. The special thing when it is a vegetable and fruit detox for a finite period of time, essentially what we're doing is taking a break from all of the other things that insult the liver, giving it a whole lot more of the stuff that supports it and allowing it to work through that backlog, to clean out the gut, to give it, right? Like looking at all the pieces that are involved in this system, the organs and the cells, right? To give our body a little bit of a break on one side so that it can do all the other things and do its natural process, right? Like it's not about completely eliminating one or the other, which is why, by the way, to do a proper detox nutrition plan, you want to eat enough. We need the fiber. We need, all of these other vitamins and minerals to support the body's process. If your detox is fasting, that is not detox.
Yeah. And I feel like me personally, I'm also like walking away here thinking about like as I'm living my life and right, you said it, we're humans. So we drink, we go out, we eat, like we have indulgences. And so it's like also being mindful of like, and we can just stick with the alcohol just because it's what we've talked about. If I know that I'll be drinking more on a Friday night, then maybe I'm going to be conscious of like how much water I'm drinking, the leafy greens that I'm getting the next morning. Maybe I'm going to, make sure that I'm really intaking all of my water, like doing all the things that I can do to support myself so that you can also have that balance of like enjoying those nights and the alcohol or whatever you'd like to enjoy, but know that you're still supporting your body before and after.
Finding that moderation too, right?
Yeah.
Like, fried food, right? I love me some French fries, right? Fried food, toxic foods, they're in that category. They're processed and, the heated oil, like they're not good for us. I'm choosing to not live my life without French fries. So I maybe have a greater commitment to other things.
Yeah. And it's like finding what works best for you.
Exactly. Well, there you have it, right? The body's daily detox.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. All right. So this week's nutrition nugget, you want to know what it's going to be?
Yes.
Why do we yawn?
Ooh, okay. I have like an answer, but I don't know if it's a right answer.
Okay. So tune in on Friday. We're going to get the answer to why do we yawn. So, all right, as always, everybody, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or actually all social media. I'm at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideofries.com. Wherever is easy for you, send us a message. I love hearing from you, your takeaways, your ideas, your questions. This is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach. And of course, if you are not already a member, Join our membership program by going to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. This supports this podcast and this community, but most importantly, it truly supports your health. You'll get so many goodies this week: your recipe for frozen yogurt bark with berries, free access to the Detox webinar, and your quarterly live session, which is you and me, just one-on-one for 30 minutes. Caroline, thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. I adore you. Thank you.
I adore you.
Oh, yay. Love fest. All right, everybody. Until next week, remember, your body is detoxing every day, all the time. And perhaps our health is best served by supporting our natural detox pathways by minimizing insults and providing the building blocks for proper detox function. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.